We know that folks are joining slowly but surely, but we definitely want to make sure that we leave time for our presentation today. Super excited about that. So hello, everyone, and thank you for coming to our December installment of the Amgen Biotech Experience Teacher Roundtable Series. My name is Reagan Davenport, and I work as the Community of Practice Liaison for the ABE Program Office. So this is a new role for me. I just started in June, but I have thoroughly enjoyed this experience of immersing myself into all things ABE, and I'm super excited to host this roundtable today. So please, in the chat, welcome you, say hello. Please introduce yourself and where you're from, if you don't mind, in the chat. I think we have some more folks trickling in, but it's just great to see everyone. We know everyone is tired, and so definitely appreciate you making time to spend with us right now for this roundtable series. And so a little bit of background, in case you don't know, ABE teacher roundtables are designed for our incredible ABE teacher community from around the world. And so we like to use the roundtable series as a chance to learn from experts and from each other about topics of specific interest to science and biotechnology teachers. We hope you find this series valuable. Please feel free to tag us in social media if you want to share your thoughts using the tag @ABE Prog Office. I will put that in the chat. But we're just really excited to have you in this space. And so today's roundtable focuses on accessing high quality science education resources and learning experience through LabXchange. You may be familiar with LabXchange, but if you are not, it's a global science platform designed to bring science to students around the globe. And so this roundtable will be recorded and posted on our website. And since you are a registered participant today, you will also receive a transcript of the discussion and a copy of the materials that will be shared today. We will have some time built in to this roundtable for questions from you, our audience, at the end of the presentation. So please, we encourage you to put your questions in the chat box at any time during this discussion, and we will be sure to watch for those and ask your questions at the end. So I am going to jump right in by introducing our panelists. Jennifer Conklin-Frank, who is the head of educator programming and engagement at Harvard University's LabXchange. She supports science educators globally through customized training and professional learning experiences. Jenny is going to share her science journey with us, but with her broad experience, she brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to this space. So Jenny, thank you for taking the time to join us today. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so excited. So we're going to begin by getting to know a little bit more about you and the work that you do at LabXchange. So could you please tell us about your pathway into science education and your current role at LabXchange?
Absolutely. I always tell people that I am an example of a not straight path to science education. And, I'd like to think of it because I am an opportunity seeker, and I've been incredibly fortunate to find a lot of opportunities. So obviously the majority of my career has been in education. But getting to education, science education, was definitely a strange path. After graduating, at first I was planning to be a wildlife biologist. I'm from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario in Canada. So if there's anyone from Canada, no, okay, usually not. But that is where I grew up, and we had an incredible program through the federal forestry. And so I got an opportunity to do that work. And all my life I had been in dancing and I taught dancing, and I just really discovered that not only did I have a passion for science, but I also had a passion for teaching, which is how I ended up in teachers college, which brought me to the Buffalo area where I still am and reside now. When I first started after my teaching degree, I actually ended up in informal education at the Buffalo Zoo. And I provided education programming there. And I think, what I really learned from there is the value of creating passion and appreciation for the sciences. Having animals as your sidekick is obviously pretty cool. I was cool in association with the lemurs and the gorillas and the tigers. But again, it was experiencing the passion that students had because they had a connection and a love for animals. And through that passion and that connection, I was able to kind of open up their awareness, open up their experience to talk more about the idea of supporting, wildlife, about extinction, all of these different topics, because I was able to access that passion and appreciation. So you'll notice that I talk a lot about that and why I believe that LabXchange is such an incredible program, and a platform, I should say, and why I think the ABE program is so incredible. Again, I think that it's hands-on science, it's authentic and relevant science that students can experience. And those are the kinds of fundamental things that you have to have in place, I think, in order to not only build knowledge and skills, but again, appreciation, and hopefully, science literacy, and appreciating science as part of their lives, whether or not they're in a STEM career or not. Um, After that, I did middle school and high school teaching in New York State, biology and general sciences. And again, I feel like I took those strategies and those experience of hands-on learning, and really getting kids excited about science. And I just really feel strongly that that is really important. I was fortunate enough to be able to teach in pretty much all types. I taught in charter school, public school. I've taught in inner city places. I've taught in first ring suburban schools. I've taught in rural schools. And I can tell you that in all of those spaces and places, when you get kids hooked, you got them forever, right? And so I think that that's the other kind of piece I want to just bring up today is the power of engagement. And you can get kids to do hard stuff, difficult stuff, abstract stuff, when they're engaged, and they're excited, because it's meaningful to them.
I love that, and I love you having that overarching idea of student engagement, right? Like that is so important. And it's so important to remember that in all of the different spaces, in all of the different places. And so your journey sounds amazing. And thank you for sharing that with us. We may have some new folks in our audience, and I will be completely transparent. I am one of those folks who's not entirely familiar with LabXchange, its mission, and its goals. And so I'm hearing you talk about the student engagement piece. I'm hearing you talk about that places and spaces. Would you mind giving us an overview of LabXchange before you show us all of the assets that LabXchange offers to students in all of the spaces, in all of the places?
Absolutely. So, in my current role at LabXchange, I'm the head of educator engagement, and programming. And so, what we've been doing with this program is trying to discover ways that we can help support educators with their jobs to be done. Right? Being an educator myself, first I'll just take a moment, a pause, and say thank you. Right? Educators, this is a profession that we know is difficult. I think it's difficult, not only, taxing on our time and our efforts and so forth, but it's a passion job, right? That sometimes never turns off. and you're accountable and feel responsible for every learner in your care. So, I think at LabXchange, we so value the educator. What can we do as a platform to help educators to save time, to make them more efficient, to help them to be the best that they want to be? And so with that, some of the ways that we think we can tackle these jobs to be done is, save time when it comes to finding high quality science and STEM resources. I can only tell you how much wasted time I personally have spent, right? Googling and going down that big path where you come up with something at the end of the day that is okay, but not exactly what you're looking for. So in addition to this library and this collection of high quality resources that we have on the LabXchange platform, we also have tools that allow educators to customize those resources. And we always call that the last mile challenge, right? If we respect what educators do, we respect educators and their expertise, not only in curriculum and instruction, but understanding their students, right? The students in their care. And so what we have to do is not only give these resources, but provide opportunities and tools to be able to customize them, personalize them, so that they can really fit the situation and the individual needs of learners in the classroom. So today, when I do show you some of the things that LabXchange has to offer, which I will warn you now, there is absolutely not enough time. Okay, there are so many things. It is an overview. I put my information and I'll put it again at the end. You're always welcome to reach out for more conversation and support, and to just learn. But there are so many tools there to help teachers, again, just with the jobs to be done. And that is just LabXchange as a whole. That's not even getting into all of the ways that we support ABE programming. So
Wow, Jenny, I am super excited. You said some things that already have my wheels turning, specifically about the customization that teachers will experience in the LabXchange, and all of the things. And I know there's not enough time, and so my heart is hurt a little bit, but I'm so excited to see what you are going to show us in the time that we have, because we always like to have practical examples and resources for participants in our audience. And Jenny has said, reach out to her if you have any questions. Please feel free to put any questions in the chat. But I know as a former educator, I want to see the resources and be able to use them as soon as possible. So with that, so we don't waste any time with our LabXchange tour, I'm going to hand it over to you so you can share the actual LabXchange platform with us and give us an idea of what we could expect to see in LabXchange, as well as what students could expect to see. So Jenny, over to you.
fantastic. All right. So everyone, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to, instead of going to our platform, labexchange.org, which I encourage you to do, I'm actually going to go into the platform using our ABE site. So I felt like that would give some good context. And as I show you and walk you through those ABE resources, I'm going to talk more about our library. I'm going to talk more about learning pathways and curriculum clusters. So those are ways that we organize curriculum, and they're also tools that educators can use to customize lessons, ABE lessons, and tailor them to their class. Okay. I think you're going to be very pleasantly surprised if you've never had an opportunity yet. So here we go. So I'm going to place in the link here, in the chat, a link to this particular page. And this is our ABE page that really talks a lot about how LabXchange supports the ABE program. So if you come to this page, what you'll first discover is obviously an introduction to the ABE program. This, in addition to obviously the ABE website, which is a fountain of knowledge that I honestly go to quite often when working with different ABE sites to do co-presentations throughout, what when I'm doing professional learning. But this place right here is kind of a great way to start because it introduces you to how LabXchange has taken this ABE program and created a parallel in support of curriculum space. And one of the things that people ask is, well, what was the purpose? What's the idea behind this? And the idea behind this is that online learning is equity and access, right? So, in spaces and places where people might not have access to resources, financial resources, spaces, right? Laboratory equipment, reagents, even maybe sometimes technical expertise, right? Like as a biology teacher, I have to be honest, I never taught biotechnology. So in responding to those needs and all of those things that we see all over the country and all over the world, virtual learning is an incredibly fantastic solution. It levels the playing field and ensures that everyone, no matter the circumstance, has equitable access to high quality and really engaging laboratory experiences around the field of biotechnology, as well as precision medicine, which we know is the future, right? There are so many opportunities, jobs, and not just jobs, but like careers where people will have a great quality of life. So how can we build awareness for high schoolers, middle schoolers, to understand that there is this whole entire sector of opportunity in workforce? And how can we do it in a way that's engaging and that will be memorable, right? And hopefully inspire that appreciation for this type of science. So in our cluster, a cluster is like a curriculum. So think about it as a collection of lessons. And right now, LabXchange supports two clusters that have been published. The first one is called Foundational Concepts and Techniques in Biotechnology. And if you look through here, if anyone's familiar with the ABE kits, you can see right first glance that this is exactly in support of those face-to-face experiences. Now, we're really lucky. We have gotten an opportunity. As a matter of fact, last month I was just working with ABE program in Netherlands, and I got to co-present with the team over there. And one of the things we were talking about in that session were, what if you are using the kits? Can you still use LabXchange? Is LabXchange still, something that's useful? And yes, that's why I keep saying it's in parallel. And I think it's a great way for me as an educator to preview certain kinds of laboratories and skills. I will say that I have used micropipetting in my class, and let's just put it this way. Generally the first time we don't get a lot of successful gels, but what if I had had this opportunity to use LabXchange and really support learners to understand how to use a micropipette, how to use the equipment? I absolutely know, and I talk to teachers about this all the time. It increases that face-to-face experience, right? Because the students have the knowledge and they have the skill, although virtual, but when they get to the experience, they know what to do. And I think in a laboratory, especially an advanced laboratory, that is just really essential. Other things that some of our ABE teachers have been talking about is, when we talk about equitable access, is giving students who might be absent or learning in different situations like home, right? Homebound students, they still get the exact same quality and experience in these lessons. So that's another fantastic thing. And then lastly, I've been talking with so many educators who are looking for enrichment opportunities before and after school clubs. What a great cluster of curriculum right here to run a biotech experience, right? After school program where students who are exploring where they're going to, where they could go, pre-college pathways, right? and run a club like this. And look at, you've already got your curriculum laid out and set out in front of you. So again, this is a cluster. I love how the cluster is set up. If you noticed, it is not linear. So we're not telling you you must start in this particular way. It has all of these different entry points. You can pick and choose. Again, that's that idea that educators are the experts. But what we did do is create this idea of a tour. So let's say you just wanted to focus on lessons that included genetic engineering. Simply click on the tour, and as you can see, it provides you a suggestion. So let's dig in a little bit. Each one of these tiles is something called a learning pathway. And my analogy for educators is a learning pathway to me as a lesson. Is it a one-day lesson? Not necessarily. It's a lesson in the sense that it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So when you start to dive in here, so I'm just going to go to micropipetting since I've been talking a lot about that. You can see that this lesson is a collection of individual resources. And when students click on them, it guides them through this learning pathway. It's a self-directed learning pathway filled with multimedia digital content. So the first thing that we can do, and these are two of our teachers in residence. This is Dave Welty and Mary Lou, both ABE teachers, talking about micropipetting and understanding the, that abstract concept of measuring very, very, very minuscule liquids and volumes of liquids. You move on to a question set where teachers can engage students' background knowledge or preview what they already know. Again, best practices, right? Using questions to probe and understand. Then we've got these incredible content pieces. This is one of the pieces that LabXchange has built in support of the ABE program. And remember, I talked about the importance of engagement. This is exactly it. So students, again, self-directed, get to go through this learning experience where it's building, it's an introduction, and building an understanding background around concepts. In this case, different kinds of micropipettes. And as you can see, very interactive, very appealing, visually appealing, as well as screen accessible. So any student using screen reader support, all of these assets, we take that very serious at LabXchange, that we work very hard to make sure that our assets are very much accessible. So this is an interactive, and again, it's called a scrollable. It's a special kind of interactive. And you can see that I am in control as the learner. I'm scrolling through at the pace that I want to scroll through, and I have the opportunity to go back. And I can even, go back again by clicking these little pieces. So that's an interactive. Another video. Great text. Look at the quality of the text with visuals. This is exactly what they're going to see in the classroom, as well as just really thoughtful text that helps to scaffold and build on students' knowledge base. And again, more question sets to prepare students. But here is the thing that I think that LabXchange is most proud of. And this is the work that we've done with our ABE partners. It's just something that we're very proud of. So this is the virtual lab experience. Think of it as a game, kind of a game-based experience, but students are actually interacting in a real virtual lab space. And it is very much aligned to the scientific process. So if you notice here, I have all of my scientific process starting with context, right? Building background knowledge, helping students to understand what is this lab going to be about? What is this exploration going to be about? We have materials where students can understand the different terminology, as well as see visual representations. Again, multimodal, right? Supporting students. One of my favorites. Engaging in active, interactive predictions. So in this case, it's going to ask students in this particular lab to blot based on what they think each, measurement volume represents. And then once they've done that, and again, so simple, so intuitive, they move on to that next section. And this is the simulation and the protocol. I'm just going to widen my screen a little bit. You can see they have their virtual lab space. They have access to all of these things. I'm clicking on them, I'm exploring them, I'm moving them around. This is my space, just as if I was in a class in a real face-to-face lab. And once I'm finished with my exploration, on the right-hand side is my protocol. And if you notice here, each one is a discrete step that supports learners in completing the tasks. If you noticed at the beginning, I chose level 1. You can have students choose level 1, 2, or 3. The higher they choose the level, the less supports that they get. And what I mean by supports would be hints that come up across the top. They can also have opportunities to restart or retry a step. But all of this goes back to the nature of experimentation, right? And in experimentation, it's all about, exploring, experimenting, and sometimes making mistakes and then learning from them. So again, just capturing authentic experience and in a sophisticated virtual laboratory way. Once students have gone through, and I'll show you really quickly, select the P20 micropipette. So if you notice, when I selected it, that grayed out and then the yellow box moved through. So that's how it moves students through the protocol. There's even a little note box where they can add their observation in each step if they wanted to. So once I get through the protocol, they end up at the results. I obviously didn't go through the protocol, but you can see here, these were the predictions I made at the beginning. I can compare them to my actual results, which may or may not be my ideal results. Again, representative of real science experiences. And then lastly, that ideal space. These would be the ideal results. Feedback, opportunities for reflection where students are asking, to a check for understanding. Again, best practices in education. And then lastly, big takeaways, a summary. What are the things to take away from this experience? And all written in a way that I feel is incredibly accessible for learners, right? And think about this. These are some complicated concepts, right? I'm positive that, even myself, I never had these opportunities in school. And so, how do we take something that's complex and might be abstract, and how do we create an experience where students take the lead, it's self-directed, and at the end, they've had a real experience, even if they don't have access to that real live space and time. So that is a simulation. And that, again, that's just one of the things that we are just incredibly proud of at LabXchange. So I'm sorry, I'm clicking back through. I just wanted to go back to the ABE page and say that there are all of these different lessons. But I'm also encouraging you to explore the precision medicine curriculum. It is such a fun curriculum. One of the first parts of this curriculum starts with this medical mystery. Again, right? Best practices, talking about anchoring phenomena, right? When we talk about aligning and what new instruction, what sense making looks like in science instruction, what better way to start with a medical mystery and then followed by, understanding, using what kids already know. They do this great thing where they rate the bitterness of foods, right? How many people think dark chocolate is bitter? How many people think broccoli is bitter? And we did this as an entire staff, and it was so much fun. But then to really help, right, with that engagement, because that's something you can relate to, then to start to go into this idea of taste receptors and the importance of, understanding gene expression. It is a fabulous cluster. Kids just really enjoy this. And it's something that is relatable, right? Middle school kids, high school kids can really appreciate to, understand how their body works, and so forth. So that's how I wanted to kind of start our entry point. In addition to the ABE program, if you were to click on our library, um, we have more than just those resources. As a matter of fact, at this point, we're up to almost 23,000 high quality resources. And it's not just from LabXchange. So what we do, and this is a question I know that Reagan's going to ask me in a second, so I'm not going to talk too much about it until she asks. But what we do is we make a lot of content, probably 10% of the content in this library, but the other 90% of the content is through collaborations with other organizations as well. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to turn it back over to Reagan. I'm going to check the chat to see if there's any immediate questions too, and I'll make sure to answer those in the next piece.
Thank you so much, Jenny. That was amazing. The resources that are there that are built in that support ABE and the types of pathways that you've built to support the ABE experience, they're amazing. I went to the lab technician meeting in LA in September and I did the micropipette. I just was like, I should have logged on to the LabXchange before I did the micropipetting in
It's so
LA. So I
I
love
cannot
that.
tell you how many kids though get nervous. Like kids, they're shaking and it's the strangest thing. So could you imagine having that experience to practice ahead of time?
That would have been amazing. I am definitely not a child, but that was me. I was nervous. I was nervous about how to hold it and if I was going to break it. But I had a wonderful, wonderful group of master lab technicians that were phenomenal that walked me through it and put me at ease. But really, truly amazing, from the customization to the organization of the clusters and the pathways. There's so many opportunities available for educators. So thank you so much. I am going to ask you the question. I know exactly what question you're talking about. So I'm going to lead with that one because I would actually like to know. I've been looking in the chat and I've not seen anyone ask like a question, I don't think, or pose a question for you yet, but I would like to hear from some of the educators that are actually on this roundtable about how they have used LabXchange, if they have used it. So I'm going to start with my most favorite question because really now, after you just went through that whole step-by-step explanation, my favorite question that I wanted to ask you today was, how do you maintain the resources and keep up with the constant changes that we see, not only in science education, but in society? How are you choosing these high quality science education resources? I know you said you create them, but then you said there's 23,000 in there, and my brain kind of went like, so that is what I am just wondering, like, how do you keep up with the ever-changing evolution of science and science education?
Well, I think a couple things. So I just added a special link in here as well. It's labexchange.org/collaborators. And one of the things that I think that we're all starting to recognize, right, is that we can't do this alone. And that when we try to go it alone, it's definitely a lot of work. And again, at LabXchange, we're really in support of a STEM educator, right? So more than just that biology or teacher who's looking for a biotech experience, we want to engage every kind of STEM teacher. And so as we kind of started to collect these resources to support the ABE program, we kept running into these incredible collaborators who also had amazing content and who had the same vision that we did: free, high quality STEM education resources. And so I just wanted to share with you right now, I think we're up to 150 different collaborators. This is called our collaborator dashboard. And as you can see here, our sponsor is Amgen. We're strategic allies with UNESCO. So all that work around SDGs, you'll see that throughout LabXchange, right? Those big, thoughtful, global things that we can do for, science citizens. And again, going back to building awareness, creating appreciation, and hopefully igniting that passion that students, learners, anywhere can make a difference and help to be, the solvers of these great issues that we're facing today and tomorrow. So as I go through these content collaborators, I'm positive you're going to see a ton of names. With Amgen Scholars Program and the Amgen Biotech Experience actually have their own dashboards. So when you click on these, they bring you just to that collaborators resource. So you can see here there are 316 different content pieces from the Amgen Biotech Experience. If you look closely, you can see that the kinds. So there's a cluster, that's that curriculum, right? A whole bunch of lessons with a common theme. You can see that we've got texts, we've got images. And as I scroll through 42 pages, goodness gracious, we've got more images that you can use and you probably recognize already from a lot of the print support resources that we have. It's just incredible. So you can access, there's 13 different clusters, and the reason for this is it's translated. Right now, we're translated up to 14. We have 115 in the background. Hopefully in the next year, we'll have another 15 more languages that these clusters are translated in. And again, we're not just supporting US educators, we're trying to support our global educators. And again, it's all about access to free, high quality content that is either going to support your instruction, right, by helping you to convey abstracts, complex concepts, or to give learners an experience online where they are the leaders of their learning, self-directed learning, and having real experiential learning where they're doing real science. I'm going to click back here again just to kind of go back through that list. Everybody always kind of finds, sticks out, right? One of those collaborators. Mine was, and I was completely surprised. Mine's always been FET. I love FET. And they are just an incredible collaborator with us. Khan Academy is also another very, global. But again, these are organizations that have the same belief systems as we do, that they're never going to charge. There is no subscription required, but that they're just going to make access to high quality education resources. And so you can know, and that's one of the ways we define quality, is that free, right? And think about how many people came out of COVID where they were using all these free things and those free things went away. That is not what we're trying to do here at LabXchange. Data in our world, and data is really fantastic as well. I love looking at maps. So remember, I've embraced my geek, okay? But I love that one particular site. We've got peer investigation. This is an educator teaching guide space. There's just so many fantastic things. Science Friday, one of my favorite spaces. Just really great articles. And again, bringing it down all the way down to middle level right at this point. And our hope is that eventually we've got elementary level as well, right? We just want to support as many teachers in STEM as we possibly can. So that's how we do it. We collaborate with these individuals, we vet them, we partner with them. We give them access. So in fact, they are the ones who are contributing to our library. So when you asked a question about, like FET, for example, FET is always coming up with new interactives and simulations. And so we empower FET to be able to upload and update and add to our library. So that number there is always changing. There is always new content on here. And we've got some great resources, right? You can use a search bar to look for keywords. You can search and kind of like break down this list by types. I know for myself, right? In my mind, I might say I'm looking for a video of. So you can even narrow down by the content type or the asset type. We've got all of these subject areas represented. And remember, we're global, right? So you might not necessarily see next generation science standards here, but you're going to see global themes that we think are instrumental in helping students to be science and data literate, which we think is essential, right, to citizenship. So those pieces there, you can search by sources, popular tags, and like I said earlier, some of this content is in different languages, and the platform actually supports these same languages as well.
I love that this accessibility piece is so huge. And I love the accessibility. I love how you are really thinking about the equity pieces there, everyone being able to access. You've got some of the resources available in different languages. Like that is so important, especially in the virtual world. That is something that even, we have to trouble through sometimes. Like, we have this great resource but we want to offer it to everybody, and how do we get it in these languages? And it's amazing. It's truly amazing. And I hear you keep talking about the high quality science education resources. You've shown us the high quality science education resources. You've shown us some amazing collaborators and partners that you work with. But you said something in the beginning that I always keep top of mind, and that is that you want to, sort of design everything with the educator in mind and the student in mind. And
Yeah.
so I'm just looking through the chat and keeping that sort of at the forefront. I believe Salvatore gave you all a great, a great compliment, saying the ABE Exploring Precision Medicine curriculum is very interesting and exciting. So you've got somebody exploring it already. Salvatore, I don't know if you would like to unmute yourself and share with us your experience doing the Exploring Precision Medicine. Maybe not. Is he still? I have so many screens open. I'm like, is Salvatore still there?
I would love to show you how you can personalize
Oh,
it if
maybe
you're
he's
interested.
gone. Oh, no, he's still there. Maybe he can't hear me. Yes, I would like for you to show us that as well. Before you do that, okay, maybe he'll hop in any moment and share that with us. But Deb also had a question.
Yeah.
She had a compliment as well, saying that LabXchange is so easily searchable. You don't have to wade through junk to find the gems. I love it. The tags are useful for teachers. I know, Jenny, I love to hear it. So Jenny, I know that you love to hear it. But she also had a question about an offering in LabXchange. So she said, does LabXchange have any interactives on what DNA Subway is and how to use it to analyze barcodes?
Oh my goodness.
Ooh.
I don't know, but what I would encourage you to do, and that's embarrassing to say, it's like the catch 22 because people always ask me about individual assets. And
Mhm.
when you have 20, I have worked here for over a year. I can probably tell you without a doubt, I haven't even gone through 50%, right? And again, you have to understand I've got like blinders on because I'm always looking for biology content. But what's really cool is that if LabXchange doesn't have something, so I'm going to kind of like not answer your question on purpose to show you how,
I love
how
it.
LabXchange has tools to support you even when the library can't. Okay. And this is something that I think people don't realize about the power of LabXchange. Because when you go to the site and when you are connected with ABE, you're really just seeing these resources in play. So I want to show you a couple things. The first one is that at I'm back on our ABE page. I'm going to go into our cluster around precision medicine. And I just want to share with you like maybe this one here, okay? So let's say we're in here and we're thinking to ourselves, wow, there's a couple of things that I would like to include here, that I would like to customize this. So the first thing I would encourage all of you to do, if you haven't done it yet, is sign up for a free educator account. It honestly takes just a couple of seconds. It's going to ask for your name and your email and your birth date. And the email is just going to verify that you are in fact, right, a real person and verify verify your account. And that's all the information that you need to have. But what people don't realize is that once you do have that free account, you have an incredible selection of tools at your disposal. So the first one is that I can clone this. So I can take this curriculum. This is an precision medicine curriculum, the ABE curriculum, and I can clone this. And so now, not only do I have access to this public library, but now I'm actually have my own personal private library. So as you can see here, this kind of like unlocked it, and now it's in this template mode. Do you see that? I can actually change all of these things. I can rewrite the pathway name. I can even clip the videos. I don't know about you. I always find the hour and 25-minute video, and I only want 3 minutes right in the center every time. Like it never fails. There's like this perfect 3 minutes. Look at that. We've got a clipping tool. You can add notes, give kids directions, right? Watch this video, and at the end of the video, I want you to think about A, B, and C, right? So now you're creating this interactive experience. And again, they're using the asset and you've given them the purpose. I used to always talk about reading text with a purpose, right? So like today I want you to read this text, and your purpose for reading this text is to summarize. And I always found that was just such a great way to support kids because they didn't know how to read something, right? Like, or read this text, and at the end I want you to pick an argument and persuade me and use evidence from this text. It like transforms how kids interact with the content. So that's something you can do here. You can also just delete things. Maybe I don't want this. I can easily remove it. And then I have the ability to add my own content. So I'm going to click plus. I can go back into our public library and I can search just like all the search tools that you had. I can add more. I can customize this learning experience. Look at how simply. Just plus, okay? But remember I told you have a private library? You can go in and add your own content. I just made a text recently exploring pH, acids and bases and indicators. I wrote this. It's appropriate to my learners. It uses my vocabulary, and I can add that as well. And look how easy it is. The template, the tool, again, it's meant to be intuitive, efficient, save you time. And then it's all drag and drop from there. So as you can see, if you can't find something on LabXchange, but you know a great resource is already out there, you have a tool to be able to create that resource. And where does this get housed? It gets housed in your private dashboard. So this is that private library space. Again, there's LabXchange, the public library, right? With ABE curriculum, clusters, pathways, all of this digital content, but you also have all of these tools to upload and create your own private library that you can mix together and create these very personalized learning experience for all kids, for a few kids, for one kid, right? And it's so simple. Look at all these different things you can create. You can create your own question sets, a question. You can upload an audio. You can upload an image, a model. I do this all the time. Remember all those whiteboard models that I spend hours trying to do? I could just take a picture one time, and year after year, that image is stored and I can recall it in my personal library. A video, look how easy this is. You copy and paste the YouTube piece. Everything that loads in there for you. You don't even have to do any of the work. And now you can even bring in videos from outside sources like Vimeo and YouTube, where there is a wealth of information. I a lot of times record my own videos and upload them. And again, all of it stored in my public library, accessible to me. I'm able to make learning pathways, which again is just like I showed you before with those lessons. I can organize it in any way I see fit, using public resources, private resources. And at the end of the day, do you want to know how easy it is to share? It's ridiculous. It's so simple. You just go to your library, and on any asset, you can click the share button and copy the link. I'm even more lazy. I just go right up here to the URL, copy it, and share it. And what will happen is that public stuff, kids will come to this space, they'll interact with it on LabXchange, and then they can go back to your learning management system, your Moodle, your, I don't know why I said Moodle because nobody uses Moodle anymore, but your Canvas, that kind of aged me out there, your Google Classroom, you email it, whatever it is, they don't need an account. If it is private content, they do need an account. It's the same thing we just talked about. A name, first name, email, pretty much it. And that's pretty much all of it. Isn't
That
that
is
exciting?
like, it's so exciting. It's so amazing. There's so much there. It's just it's great. It is great. And so I would like to thank you for taking the time to share this overview with us, provide all of the rich examples, and how the sort of relationship between the ABE is there, that educators can go to that cluster and it's specific to ABE and just explore. It's great. It's great. And so I'm hoping, if you are already not a part of the LabXchange, I'm encouraging you, everyone listening, please, if you haven't done so, visit LabXchange, register for your account. I'm going to put that ABE link back in there again. Excuse
Fantastic.
me,
Thank you.
Jenny, but I mean, it's almost like, why wouldn't you use it, right? It's just it's all of the things. It's the special sauce, it's the meat and the potatoes, it's everything. It is everything. I love it. And so as we come to the end of our time together today, again, I'd like to say a huge and final thank you to you, Jenny. You were amazing. This was amazing. Yeah, it's great. I am not teaching biotechnology, and I'm going to register for an account so that I can go in there and look at all of the resources and learn some things myself, right? Because it's self-guided. So I'm looking forward to that. We hope that this roundtable gave you some ideas for your own classrooms and for things that you can do with your students. So again, Jenny, thank you so much. Just an FYI to everyone that our ABE Teacher Roundtable Series will continue in January 2024. We always want to make sure that these roundtables are designed with you, the educator, in mind. And so we are always looking for topics that ABE teachers care about. If you have an idea for a roundtable topic, or something that you have tried in your classroom that you would like to share with others, please let us know. I'm going to put our email there in the chat. Send us a message, let us know. Want to thank you all for being here, for everything you do for students all over the world. And of course, I would like to wrap up by giving a huge thanks to the Amgen Foundation for supporting the Amgen Biotech experience. So thank you all again. I'm not sure if there's any more chat. Just want to do one quick look in the chat, just getting all the compliments. Wonderful, it's a wonderful product. My most favorite is that it's free. I love this. Jenny, I see you put your contact information in the chat as well. Jenny encouraged you to reach out if you have any questions or concerns or anything. So
Yep,
really
we
this,
offer, sorry to interrupt, but
no,
if
go ahead,
there's
Jenny. I'm sorry.
any opportunity that you want training, we offer, in addition to free resources, we also offer free training. So we're always looking to spread the word. We're willing to have conversations with anyone you would like to connect with, to talk about other collaborations and co-development of resources. That is always something we can learn from, and we're just a very collaborative and an opportunity-driven space and place. So if you're as passionate about STEM as we are, we want to work with you.
I love that. So you heard it here first, folks. Definitely reach out to Jenny, reach out to the ABE office if you have any questions or concerns. And besides that, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful holiday full of rest and relaxation. And thank you for joining this ABE Teacher Roundtable. Bye, everyone.